and welcome to the MoneyMagpie Invest podcast. I'm Jasmine Birtles, founder of MoneyMagpie.com. And before we go any further, just make sure that you have subscribed, you've liked, you've told all your friends, you've commented. We love your comments. We always check them out and answer them, and all of that. So that got that out of the way. Also, remember, nothing that's said today should be taken as financial advice. It's financial information. That's that out of the way. Now, the proper thing today is that I have with me on Zoom, I have Andrew Foster, who is the one of the senior consultants at bullionclub.com. So hello, Andrew.
Hello, Jasmine. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good. Great to have you on because now you deal with gold, and I know that you are talking to your clients on a daily basis. So it's
Yeah.
really interesting to hear from you what your clients are concerned about and what they're doing, because gold says a lot about how people are feeling about the economy and how the economy really is. So what are you getting from what's coming across from the clients that you're speaking to on a daily basis?
Well, Jasmine, I think there's a lot of fear out there at the moment. We're living in uncertain times, and I think people are unsure financially about, where they're going to be in 6, 12 months' time. So we know that there are potentially some changes coming down the tracks for people, and that may spill into their finances. So what we're seeing is that people are choosing to protect their capital, and they're definitely using gold as a way of doing that. Um,
So what are the main concerns? I mean, obviously we've got a budget coming up, and I'm hearing quite a lot of people being concerned about the new taxes that may or may not come along. There's all sorts of stuff that's being rumored in the press, of course. What are
sure.
you finding people are really concerned about at the moment?
Well, I mean, obviously, what we're talking about here today is speculation because until the budget comes, nothing's going to be, out there in the domain, so to speak. But what we are seeing from the financial press, and obviously the general public are picking up on this, is that they are going to be affected in some way or other, through either increase in taxes or stealth taxes in some way. I know that the government have made hints and given us ideas of where they think they're going to go, but there are a number of areas that people are concerned about. I know it's been sort of broadly advertised in the press that Rachel Reeves is thinking of dropping the tax allowance on cash ISAs down from 20,000 to 3,000. Now, the sort of what I'm getting from my clients is that the sort of people that invest into those kind of products do it for safety.
Mm, mm,
Um,
yeah.
they're not risk takers by their nature.
Mm.
Um, having such a drop in the taxable allowance on that will undoubtedly force some of those clients to look elsewhere
Mm, yeah.
for a safe option.
Right. So that's gold. Gold is seen as a safe haven, as somewhere secure that's not going to go mad.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been very steady in its performance. It has a long track record behind it, and people, as you're quite right, they do see it as a safe haven. So what we are seeing is that people are not going to necessarily move money from a cash item and put it in the stock market. What they will do is they'll look for the safe option. So in the next few months, and we've already started to see this happening, is there's going to be an upturn in interest in gold and potential investors in gold.
Mm.
We saw this after the last budget last year. Again, there was a lot of speculation, not as much as there is this time round, but we had some of our best months following that budget.
So you think that gold is going to go up October, November if things follow what happened last year?
Yeah, I think people are going to start moving money early this year. Uh,
Mm.
they're not going to wait for the announcement. They're going to start voting with their feet.
Yeah.
So probably sort of late summer, early autumn, we could see a rise in the value of gold off the back of this.
Of course, it's not just Britain. When you look at gold, you've got the whole world, and particularly you've got America and especially central banks. And we don't know how much central banks are buying gold, but we know that they are buying it. They have been buying it. They're continuing to buy it. So
Correct.
we've got some quite a few global pressures on gold, whether it's down or up. But do you think that it's basically going to be up for the next, year or so, for the foreseeable at least?
I think for the next maybe 2, 3 years, we're going to see a general uplift in gold. I mean, one of the biggest drivers behind this is, the dollar is losing its buying power. I think that's widely acknowledged. And I think it's also widely acknowledged that either India or China would take over as the dominant currency from them. Well, it's now looking more and more likely that China will do that and probably do it within the next 2 to 3 years.
Mm.
Now, that's not breaking news because everybody's known about this for some time. But what is interesting is that takeover of the dollar by China is being backed with gold. Now, China are one of the biggest holders of physical gold, where their central bank is, one of the biggest holders globally. Officially, it's about 20 tons, but we think it's probably nearer to 27 tons.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we'll never really know because the Chinese keep their cards close to their chest. But what is an interesting fact is that 5 or 6 years ago, it was illegal for the Chinese public to own gold.
Huh.
And the government did a U-turn on that.
Hmm.
And now citizens of China hold more physical gold than the central bank of China.
Wow. I think that isn't that the same in India as well, that the
Yeah,
amount that individual families own is more than the central bank put
yeah,
together. Yeah.
correct. I mean, this is why either of those countries was always going to be dominant to take over as the predecessor to the dollar. But it is looking like China's probably going to be the one that's going to emerge as successful there.
Mm.
Now that obviously because it's being backed with gold, that's going to have a very positive effect on the value of gold going forward.
Mm, it really is, isn't it? What
Yeah,
about pensions? Because we've heard again in the news that Rachel Reeves is considering putting unused pension pots into people's estates for inheritance tax purposes, which I'm very against because
yeah,
I think it'll put people off putting their money into pensions. But are you
correct.
hearing anything about that when you're talking to your clients?
Yeah, I think again, one of the major areas that people are talking to us about at the moment is pension pots.
Mm.
Um, they're worried that there's you can draw down 25% on your pension that's tax free.
Yeah.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about that being reduced.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
what I'm seeing is people are actively drawing down on that pension now, and using gold as a way of storing that capital. Because obviously, certainly gold coins from the raw mint are capital gains tax free. So
Yeah.
it's a like for like,
And VAT free as well.
and VAT free, of course. Yeah.
Last
So
time we spoke, Andrew, sorry to butt in, but last time we spoke, you were telling me that quite a lot of people are buying gold sovereigns because there isn't a register of them. So when it comes to leaving wealth to their children, it's quite a
right.
nice little way to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can appreciate there is a little bit of a loophole there, and awful lot of people are looking to move some of their capital into gold for that reason. There's no public register, so and it comes in what they call bearer form. So if I hand you some gold, it then belongs to you. You don't have to prove you own it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see if you're handing something down to a son or daughter or a loved one, that's a definite benefit. And the benefit the children get when they inherit this is that they don't have to pay any tax on it
Yeah.
because their capital gains tax free. So we do have a lot of people who are actively, I'm not saying, and I always caveat when I talk to people about this and say, look, I'm not trying to encourage people to not pay taxes. And obviously, it is down to an individual whether they choose to include a gold portfolio within their estate for estate planning. But having said that, if no one knows you have it,
There we are.
there you are. So, yeah, but it is a concern for people. And I think a lot of people view inheritance tax as probably the most unjust tax there is. And you're quite right, moving pensions into estates is going to be very unpopular.
Yeah, very unpopular and very unhelpful. As
Yeah,
I've been saying, we need to be putting more money into our pensions. We need more people to really sort out their own futures and not rely on the state, because already the state can't cope with the
yeah,
current state pension. It doesn't have the money. It's crippling the country. So later on,
sure.
it's going to be even worse unless we ourselves individually sort out our own futures. And this is not going to help.
True. Well, I have a lot of clients who invest in gold coins specifically for their retirement.
Mm.
The reason they do that is that it gives a good return. It's a tangible asset,
Mm.
but also it gives them flexibility. If you're holding a number of coins that are of certain value, and you want to go on a cruise or change your car or whatever, you can sell one or two of them off, raise the capital without losing the whole investment.
Yeah.
Whereas if that money was, say, sitting in an ISA or a bond, you'd have to lose the investment in order to get the capital. So it does give a little bit more flexibility in that respect, and people like that in their retirement.
Yeah.
It might not be the entire bundle for them. It might be a section of it, but certainly, what comes up quite frequently on the phone is that people will talk about it as a rainy day fund. Yeah.
Interesting. And
Yeah.
are you finding that people are putting more in now than they were before? I mean, I know you're busy at Bullion Club, but are you finding that the volumes are increasing?
Yeah, generally, I mean, even if we went back sort of 12 months ago, when people were talking to me about their budgets, they'd be saying, well, I've got 20,000, 30,000, whatever it is. And now, we're talking 50s, hundreds
Mm.
plus.
Mm.
So there's a definite interest in not just the market, but also protecting a wider amount of their wealth. So,
Yes, and Andrew, finally, what would you say to people who are worried about what's coming down the line from our government, particularly from the budget, and also from America and the world in general? How would you suggest that they protect their wealth and protect their families?
well, I think, you obviously it's down to each individual. You've got to take stock of what you've got, where you are. Um, Obviously, I would recommend gold. I would, but it is when you look at other investments, very little third party risk, um, proven track record behind it. So people are waking up to this. And 20, 30 years ago, you could say it was, the domain of the rich or the educated. Now, I would say most of my clients are what I would call everyday investors.
Mm.
So I think people are becoming more knowledgeable at the benefits that this particular market can offer them, for sure.
Excellent. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Well, Andrew, thank you so much. This has been Andrew Foster from Bullion Club. I'm Jasmine Birtles from MoneyMagpie.com. Again, remember that nothing that's been said here should be taken as financial advice. It's financial information. Make sure that you subscribe, you like, you comment, you tell all your friends how fantastic the Money Magpie Invest podcast is. And I'll see you next week.